Sig Sauer has just released its first ever BB air rifle, and Crosman is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year with 2 special edition air rifles. Let's talk about it. This is the OTSA podcast for February 24th, 2023. Today, we have a couple topics that we're going to discuss, one of which I discussed on a live broadcast a couple days ago. But we're going to talk about it a little bit more here, and so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start out with the Sig Sauer news. Sig Sauer has just released their first ever BB air rifle. Now, I know a lot of people have had issues with Sig Sauer Airguns. The MPX and MCX have had their fair share of issues, the pellet rifles, as well as the pistols. I personally haven't had any trouble yet. I'm saying yet because we don't know. You never know about these things. But they have had known issues, so they haven't gone over so well with some people in the community. Other people say that theirs have been fine, and so it's kind of a hit or miss thing. But today, the new Sig Sauer MCX Rattler BB air rifle. This is a CO2 powered air rifle. Now, this isn't going to be like the other ones with their pellet air rifles. This one is a standard 12 gram CO2, not the 88 or 90 gram CO2 or PCP for that matter. These load up just like the Crosman DPMS or any of those other CO2 full auto air rifles where the CO2 goes in the magazine. That's basically your whole entire operation system there is in the magazine. And difference being is this isn't full auto, but it does provide a 3-round burst. So you have semi-auto, and then you have 3-round burst as well, which actually is pretty cool. The Sig Sauer Rattler has the folding stock like its modern firearm counterpart, and also is field strippable. Now we're going to read about it a little bit here. This comes from Hard Air Magazine, and this is what they had to say. The new Sig Rattler BB gun is the first BB firing long gun to be offered by Sig Sauer. It will be available at Pyramid Air within a few days from now. Actually, it's available right now. I'm going to get my order in, hopefully before everybody else orders them and they're gone. They said they only have a limited amount right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get my order in so I can get a review done for you guys. The company offers both pellet and BB firing CO2-powered pistols, so it's logical to see this development in the long gun range. By the way, the official name is Sig Sauer MCX Rattler CO2 BB rifle. It's a long one, but we're guessing that many people will know it by the rather shorter name we're using here. Now, we'll continue reading that in a second. This air rifle does come with a set of open sights, and it is a synthetic polymer body. Okay, so not a whole lot of metal on this one, but still a heavy-duty air rifle at the end of the day at 4.6 pounds or something like that. And it goes on to say, the move to BB firing allows a number of changes compared to the existing pellet firing Rattler canebrake model. That would be the pellet version of this. Not quite this, though, because the stock doesn't fold on that one. These include 3-shot auto burst capability, folding stock, and field stripping capability. So you can field strip this one, much like you can the Crosman DPMS, so forth and so on. It's clear why the pellet firing Rattler canebrake cannot achieve these capabilities, obviously because it's a pellet rifle and the way it functions just doesn't allow such a thing. The downside is lower power and lesser shot count per fill of CO2. Now, of course, we're talking about 12 gram CO2s here. We're not using the big 90 gram or 88 gram CO2, so it's kind of a weird comparison there that they're making. I wouldn't compare that at all. But you do have lower power. I mean, it's only going to get 300 FPS or maybe a little over that, maybe 350 tops FPS. You know, very similar to any of the other full auto CO2 BB rifles. It's going to be right in that ballpark. And then it says, so the two Rattler CO2 powered models are positioned quite differently, as we can see from the following table, and they go on to show a table between the pellet version and the BB version. Then it says that in their testing, we achieved a total of 290 shots from one 88 90-gram CO2 cartridge in the pellet gun version of this. Even firing BBs, it's obvious that the shot count of the new gun will be considerably less, even if just down to the smaller 12-gram CO2 capacity. That's also factoring in that you got the 3-round burst, so you're going to be, emptying the CO2 a little faster that way. The pellet version does not have anything like that. It's simply semi-auto, and that's it. There's no full auto or 3 or 6 round bursts with the pellet version. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now, we're going to go over to Pyramid Air and read what they have to say about it in their description of the air rifle. And it says, the Sig Sauer MCX Rattler CO2 BB rifle has many similarities to the successful short-barreled rifle firearm line that inspired it. It reaches velocities up to 300 FPS for excellent performance for target practice or plinking. Remember that, folks. Target practice or plinking. I can't count how many times I've seen in the comments people are asking me about, CO2 pistols that are only getting 350 to 400 FPS if they can do pest control with it. No. No. You can't do pest control with anything like that. I do not recommend it whatsoever. Do not do that. It's not going to work. Now, if you're just going out and you want to plink them in the butt to get them to run away, that's different. But if you're actually trying to hurt them, don't do that. Don't do that at all. I highly, highly suggest you don't do that. Anyway, this BB rifle features a minimalist folding stock that is a reminiscent of the one from its powder-burning counterpart, making it easy to transport and store due to its compact size with the stock folded. The pistol grip uses a combination of textures on the sides and ridges on the front and rear that makes it nearly identical to the grip used on the firearm version. The Sig MCX Rattler utilizes a drop-free magazine with a capacity of 30 BBs to provide extended shooting time, and the selector switch goes from safe, semi-auto to 3-round burst to deliver an exciting experience without wasting ammo. This BB gun uses a 12-gram CO2 cartridge for power and has ambidextrous controls to accommodate both left-handed and right-handed shooters. See, the one thing I really like about it is a 12-gram CO2 powered rifle. It's so much easier and nicer to use the 12-gram CO2s than it is the big, giant 90-gram CO2s, simply because maybe you don't want to sit out there. Maybe you only have time to go out for half an hour and shoot, right? So using a couple 12-gram CO2s makes sense versus having to load up an 88 or 90-gram CO2, and you really don't want to be leaving those in the gun, or else your seals are going to go weaken and wear out really quick if you leave those in the gun. You don't want to do that. So to sit here and have to leave a 90-gram CO2 in your gun because you ain't going to use it all in the short amount of time that you have to get outside and do some plinking isn't always the best option. Now, of course, people like Umarex make the adapter where you can use two 12-gram CO2s and it'll fit in, and they make that adapter that fits the 88, 90-gram attachment. All right, so you can do that. That's not out of the question. But at the end of the day, it's just nice to have it be 12-gram CO2. It's just a lot more readily available everywhere. You can't just go into Walmart or wherever and buy the 90-gram CO2s. Now, granted, some of them have them. Some sporting goods stores have them as well, if they carry paintball stuff, obviously. But sometimes it's not just that readily available for everyone. So the 12-gram CO2 is a lot better, in my opinion. Now, the long Picatinny optics rail for this airgun holds both the included flip-up front sight and the flip-up rear sight to enable accurate shots out of the box, as well as allowing shooters to add a scope or dot sight. In addition, the handguard offers M-lock T-slots that help to securely and easily attach accessories such as lasers and lights. To get an airgun that takes its design cues from the renowned family of SBR firearms, buy a Sig Sauer MCX Rattler CO2 BB rifle from Pyramid Air now. Well, I plan on doing that because I think it does look cool. And I want to get a review out there for you guys as soon as I can. So I guess you can expect that within the next week or so. We'll see if I can get my hands on one here. And yeah, so that pretty much sums that up. Let's go through the specs here that they have. CO2 power, .177 caliber BB, semi-automatic and 3-round burst modes, 30-round drop-free magazine, ambidextrous controls, textured pistol grip, flip-up front and rear sights, long Picatinny optics rail, M-lock handguard, minimalist folding stock, field strips like the firearm, exactly like it, max velocity 300 FPS, uses 112-gram CO2 cartridge, weight 4.6 pounds with the magazine in, barrel length is 5.5 inch, overall length is 23.63 inch. Very interesting. I'm very interested because they've only done pellet rifles. And like I said, they've done BB pistols, but not a BB rifle yet. This would be the first time. The asking price for this is $169.99, so it's actually a little bit lower than a lot of the other CO2 full auto rifles. But once again, this isn't full auto. It just has the 3-round burst. But I mean, still pretty fun. So yeah, that's it. It's about the Sig Sauer MCX Rattler SBR CO2 BB rifle. All right, let's move on here to the next topic. This topic I did cover a little bit in a live broadcast, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it here. The Crosman 100th anniversary is being celebrated this year, and they are going to have 2 special edition air rifles to go along with it, as well as 10 limited edition pellet tins. So we're going to talk about this right now. The first limited edition air rifle that they're going to have, and this one will be limited, is the 362. They're doing a 362 in a wood stock. It is called the 362 100-year edition. And it says, in commemoration of the Crosman Centennial, we're releasing a special limited edition 362. This versatile single-shot bolt-action air rifle is one of our favorites, and a fresh take on the classic variable pump platform. With its handsome Turkish walnut stock, it's perfect for skill advancement, small game hunting, critter control, and showing off your devotion to air-powered awesomeness. 362 100-year edition, single-shot variable pump pellet rifle. Each 100-year edition 362 is part of a limited run of 2023, only available through Crosman.com while supplies last. That is 2023, obviously. Now, from the reports I've heard from folks in the comments is that Crosman claims that this may come out by summer. Of course, they gave very vague answers, exactly what I would expect from them. Vague answers so that we just don't know what's going on. Though someone did get information on maybe they'll have a pre-order in March, so we'll just have to keep our eyes open. Hopefully we get some kind of like heads up, because it really is annoying when they just drop this stuff and they don't give any heads up, and then it's like, well, you know, you can't even be ready to purchase these things. Next thing you know, they're all gone, and then you're like, well, I didn't even get one. So hopefully that is not the case. Goes on to say special edition Turkish walnut stock with embedded metal 100-year badge. Compact frame with steel breech, brass bolt and trigger. Single shot, variable pump controlled velocities up to 800 FPS. Fully adjustable rear sight, ideal for those transitioning into small game hunting. 22 caliber. And, you know, this is how you do an anniversary edition. That Daisy 880 anniversary edition is just weak. Extremely weak by comparison. The better comparison would be the Legacy 1000 anniversary edition that Crosman is also releasing. This is the second limited edition air rifle that they're doing for the anniversary. And I did, like I said, talk about this before on the live broadcast. And it looks sharp, you know. This one does not say that it's limited to any specific number. So you may be able to get your hands on this one a little easier. But it goes on to say, a century of air-powered awesomeness is quite a legacy, and Crosman has a legacy for you too. The limited edition 100-year Crosman Legacy 1000 features an all-weather synthetic stock with gold accents as a special 100th anniversary gift for us all. This is our most advanced single-shot variable pump air rifle, and it offers you next-level power and performance. It features a built-in 850 BB reservoir, rifled steel barrel, fiber optic sight, and crossbolt safety. As a celebratory bonus, every 100-year Legacy 1000 comes with one of 10 special 100-year pellet tins, each commemorating a decade of Crosman. The full set of commemorative tins are available only at Crosman.com. So by it saying that, you can buy the full run of all 10 pins. You can buy the full run of all 10 tins at Crosman.com, but if you buy the Legacy 1000 commemorative edition, it will come with, just one of those tins. All right. Legacy 100-year edition variable pump BB pellet rifle. Dual ammo, BB velocity up to 800 FPS, pellet velocity up to 1,000 FPS, all-weather synthetic stock, fiber optic front sight. So, once again, this is just a Legacy 1000, aka 2100. Of course, we all know the difference between the 2100. The current difference between the 2100 and the Legacy 1000 is the fact that 2100 has a metal receiver. Legacy 1000 has a plastic receiver. Legacy 1000 has aluminum pump arm. Crosman 2100 has a plastic pump arm on the inside. So those are two big differences, whereas back in the day, the 2100 had both, the metal receiver and metal pump arm inside, which I've talked about in older videos, and we will talk about in newer videos, because I have plans to do a line of videos about the 2100 and the Legacy 1000 and the Remington Airmaster, which is also the same rifle. I actually have a video coming out soon on the Remington Airmaster. We're going to talk about that one because I figured, hey, we've already talked about the 2100. We talked about the Legacy 1000. Might as well talk about the Remington Airmaster, which, by the way, is currently discontinued at the moment. Don't count it out because it's not the first time it was discontinued, so it may come back again. But as it stands right now, it's discontinued. No retailers have gotten more in, and they're not going to be getting in any more in. Midway USA says right there that it is discontinued for now. So if you want one, there are some floating around out there, I'm sure, somewhere. You may want to get one. I don't know if they're going to come back out with it or not. The one I got, I picked up at a local sporting goods store. And they've had these two sitting there for a while. And I finally decided that, well, I'm going to buy one. So we got one, and we're going to talk about it. And one of the things we're going to talk about, I'm going to touch on a couple things right now. With the Remington Airmaster and the Legacy 1000 and the current Crosman 2100, I would love to know who sat down and said, how can we make this as generic as possible? Okay? Because the original 2100 had that nice little pattern on the forestock, and it had like the wood grain look on the rear stock, okay? Whereas the new models are just as basic and bland as it gets. It's just a plain stock with texture on it for grip, of course, but no nice pattern or anything like that. The kind of things that give it character. None of that exists on the current 2100 or the current Legacy 1000 or the current Remington Airmaster. And I do go into details about that and talk about that and my frustrations over it in the upcoming Remington Airmaster video that we're going to be having here. I just don't get it. I don't understand who sat down and said, you know what? How can we make these as generic looking as possible? Let's just fix something that isn't broke. How about that? Let's do that. Yeah, I like to fix things that aren't broke. And then they go and they just do something like that, and it just makes you wonder why. Because the 2100 was synonymous with that little pattern on the foregrip and the way the stock looked with we know it's not wood, but at least they kind of made it look like it was with the little textures and stuff on it, right? I don't know why they did that. I mean, maybe it's just, it's easier to make the molds for, to pour the plastic. I have no idea. I don't know. All I know is it looks very, very lazy compared to the old model 2100, which I still have my original 2100. As you know, if you watched the previous videos on these air rifles, the Legacy and the 2100, you have seen it before. well, you're going to see it again. Because like I said, I'm going to do a run of videos kind of leading up to this new Legacy 100 Year Edition, which I am definitely planning on getting. And so we're going to do a run of videos. Now, I don't know when it's releasing, but we're still going to do a run of videos with a little bit different aspect and deeper dive on each rifle. Something different than we did in the previous videos. We're going to do some different things. And, yeah, all just to basically lead up to this Legacy 100 Year Edition. Now, the one thing they don't answer is the gold receiver on the Legacy 100 Year Edition. They do not answer if that's going to still be plastic or if that's actually going to be metal. I would prefer it be metal. But I mean, hey, we'll get what we get, right? There's not much we can do about it. But I would love it would be, if it was metal, that would be great. And hey, you know what? It's okay. The Legacy 1000 and the Remington Airmaster both have the plastic receivers, and they function just fine. I have no problem with durability issues on them at all. They function just fine. Now, for those wondering, I may have mentioned this in past videos, but the Remington Airmaster no longer has the metal receiver. So if you were like, oh, well, I'm going to get the Remington Airmaster because it has the metal receiver, no. It has plastic receiver, just like the Legacy one. It's essentially the Legacy 1000, only with a brushed aluminum barrel instead of a black barrel or a blued barrel, okay? So yeah, if you have a Legacy 1000, you're like, oh, maybe I'll get the Remington Airmaster. Save your money. It's the same rifle. Unless you're like me and just have to collect every single version of this rifle because it's one of my favorite pump rifles of all time. So if you're like me, then yeah, I get it. If you're not and you've already got a Legacy 1000, I wouldn't even bother. Now maybe you want a 2100. There is a difference in those simply because those use a plastic pump arm and you can only pump those 10 times, whereas the Legacy 1000 and the Remington Airmaster, you can pump up to 12 times for the 1000 FPS. Even though we haven't really hit the 1000 FPS in chronograph testing, but we got close. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. And get this podcast out there since YouTube has selected me to do some testing on their new podcast platform, kind of test the waters. It's obviously in like a prototype mode right now, or testing mode. It hasn't rolled out to every creator, but apparently I was lucky enough to be asked to try it out, and now it's in my it's in my control panel of things to try out. So we're trying it out. I ran the poll, and it seems like more of you want to hear an audio podcast than don't. So yeah, like I said, I'll try to do one weekly or bi-weekly, or as news is available to talk about. I think that would probably be the best approach because sometimes you can go 2-3 weeks and there's just nothing news-wise to talk about in the airgun world, so you never know. But based on how much news I can gather and talk about, is how often we'll do the podcast. But I would definitely expect one at least once a month. But I'm shooting more for, if we can do one weekly, we will. If we can do one bi-weekly, we will. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. If you like this kind of thing, by all means, subscribe to Off the Shelf Airguns on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell so you're notified of when I upload videos and now podcasts, I guess. And if you want to support further, you can go ahead and hit the join button, become a channel member, a backyard plinker, get exclusive perks to your membership, such as early access to all the videos, exclusive content, so forth and so on. Badges next to your name that signify how long you've been a member, custom emojis you can use in the comments or in the chat if I go live. And, yeah, also, if you don't like to do the YouTube thing like that, I also have a Patreon, patreon.com/offtheshelfairguns. So if you'd like to go over there and support, by all means do that as well. If you want to support in other ways, I also have a store, merch store. The hats and the shirts you've seen me wear on the show. You go in the description of any video and scroll down through the description. The link to my store is in there. So if you would like to purchase any hats or shirts or anything like that, that'd be greatly appreciated too. Anything that anyone donates to the channel, any funds that come to the channel, go right back into the channel to keep this thing rolling, at least regularly, right? Because it does get expensive after a while. buying all these air guns and doing all this stuff and everything else. It really adds up quick. So, and then don't forget that also on every video, if you liked the video, there's a thanks button. You simply go down and hit the thanks button. You can donate any amount to that video, and your comment with the thanks will be highlighted at the top of the comments as well. So you can also do that. Of course, if I'm live, you can super chat, this, that, and third, all that good stuff. I try to remember to say all this, but I don't remember all the time. I'm only worried about getting the important information out there. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, folks. So, with that said, I will catch you all down the road.